good day to all. Hey, Sam here with you on a Thursday, July 5th. And so a couple of things, just a quick reminder. So to those of you that come here looking for crypto analysis, I just want to remind you that we're now combining those two channels. I think it's important to demonstrate this methodology applied to all assets. It really makes no difference. So, if you're a crypto only kind of guy, well, this may not be the right video for you, but I would encourage you to consider watching and just, if you're absolutely determined to only trade crypto, I think that's a bit short-sighted. There's plenty of opportunity applying this methodology to other assets. So that's why we are introducing it here and now combining these two channels. I think that's ultimately of more value. To my members who did the voting today, right? Today's a day where we poll our members over at Trade Devil University, and they've come up with the pound dollar and then an equity that we're going to look at as well. So let's get right to it. So here's the pound dollar. I've got a 3-hour up here. Now we're gonna get into this down here, but a couple of things to note here. All right, so from our last pivot here, you can see we had a pretty nice 5-wave structure here, and it was really quite technical. So just for the purposes of demonstrating this this algorithm yet again, right? So here we go, right? So here's our from our 2 to our 3. So I'm just taking the length of our third wave. Fourth, now that's deep for a 4, but see here's our 1-wave high. We don't overlap, so we stay with an impulsive wave to finish this 5th. So we come just a couple of ticks shy of the 618 and rip straight to target. Right, so and as I will always remind you, the tell that it's algorithmically driven is the reaction at the target, not the buy at the 618. It's this, right? Talk about a reaction. So there you go. Now, so another thing just to re-emphasize here, though, the attraction to trading in currencies is that they trend. They trend, right? So even here on a 3-hour, that's 144 to just here before we even pivots, 132. That's some serious money, guys. So, not necessarily that I'm suggesting that this would have been an easy sell, but you certainly wouldn't want to have been staying long given that and this reaction that we see coming off of it here. And then here's the Vegas wave. Vegas wave, very powerful in trending markets like this, particularly, and that's where it was introduced to me, is trading in Forex. So you can see how the Vegas wave, once we get underneath it, now we get right to offers the resistance, we push down one last time. So as to what this ends up being, well, it looks like this is most likely some sort of an ABC to finish down here with a very extended A wave. This could be, so it actually could be, this could be A, B, C with a truncated C. It's hard to call it. That could be it. That could be A, B, C right there. And then we end up going down in 5. So let's dig into that 5 here and see if it makes sense to be looking at the long side. Well, we do end with a diagonal. So you can see it here. So yeah, I'm going to go with, so just to clarify what's to me kind of in the middle of it. So I think that's A, B, C is what we get there. So I get an A, B, C. Let's see if there's any technical pivots there. All right, so there's the 50, and then it gets target right here. So it looks like that's a decent ABC to come down. So then 1, 2. Now we get a diagonal. So here's my wave 1 low. It's a subtle, very slight overlap of the 4. It goes to touch the Vegas wave, and then it rips down. So in that diagonal structure, we're looking for 3s. So 1, 2, and then I get an ABC down for my 3. Looks like I've got some sort of an ABC into my 4, and then an ABC down to finish the 5. And in that kind of a scenario, we'd pull from our C high. We're looking for a relationship between the length of the 1 through the 3. And the start of it here, 1 through the 3 to the 4. That's where we're looking for the pivot, and then we come down here for the 5. Now, it's hard to tell here. That would be. So of course it could be a front run, but it seems unlikely given the distance from that pivot to the target. So one possibility here is algos have not moved. They're just still working off of that same pivot as the target is unrealized. Well, if that's the case, here's the 50 to be visited and tested yet again. And we've got a little algo target there right next to it. And I'm going to get in there in a second because that was a bit tricky. But what does sustain the idea that we have a potential trend change is that certainly we've broken this channel and we now have a median line. This is a shift median line that seems to be offering the market's geometry, at least currently. So looking here, allowing for this, if we're going to allow for this 3, 4 down into an ABC, and it's just going to be an unrealized pivot, or pardon me, target down here, well, then we have the potential ingredients here for a trend change. But until we break this 50 and the 618, you still have to be cautious about this just being a larger ABC and then heading back down to that target and ultimately getting realized. Too soon to call it, but you know, right now my bias would be to the long side. So if I take that off and just clear some of this out, so let's go. I'm going to go from the 3 hour. Let's go to the 30-minute and see if we can make sense of this. Now this was a little tricky. This has been kind of squirrely in here, so you had to do a bit of work here to dig this out. So we do coming off of that low, and what makes me think we have a good potential here for a trend change is coming off of that low. We get a very clear 5-wave impulsive structure. So now, of course, this could be A, B, C. Certainly that's possible before we go down and correct again. But we have some key pivotal areas here that will help us identify whether or not we're in a 1-2 and some sort of an expansion here where we're going 1-2, 1-2 yet again. So the more 1-2s you get, it's kind of a mixed blessing. The 1-2, 1-2 is ultra bullish, but if you're, you know, it can be that you're looking to force a bullish bias. So, you know, I always kind of try and catch myself there. So this, if this is a 2 here, if this is going to stay as a 1-2, well, we don't want this pivot taken out. We've already wicked through the 6-5, went back to the Vegas wave as a reminder how strong the Vegas wave is here, particularly in the 30-minute and the 60-minute. So we tapped the Vegas wave, and then we've had a little reaction, but we're staying soft here. So this, you know, yeah, again, so acknowledging that this could be just an A, B, and C is in. And see, here's my 50. Here's my 50 from the algo poll where I suggested that they have not yet changed the pivots that they're working from. Here's the target down here. So we've got 2 targets here. So here's the 50. So that 50 has a target down here. So if this is going to end up being an ABC, well, then that's what they're after. Now, we don't know for sure, but if this pivot gets taken out, if we break to the other side of the median line, some of this is going to look more and more bearish and look like this is just going to end up playing as an ABC. But right now, we can still lean into a 1-2 and after that 1-2. So you see what I have here is 1-2, 1-2, yet again another 1-2, and that's because I've gone through and dug out the fib relationships amongst those swings, and right now that is the bullish count. But this pivot, I certainly want to see this pivot hold. I want to see the median line hold, because this spike down here to the Vegas wave close enough to the median line, that looks like a test. Now it looks like this may get tested again, but I had to go down to the 15-minute to get this count identified here, at least a contender for it. So you can see from here's my 2 low, what I'm currently calling a 2 low here. So coming off of this, it looks like I get a pretty solid 1-2 here. Then I get my impulsive 3 down for the 4 here. I do not overlap the 1. But then I go into this kind of ugly looking diagonal here. It's a tricky call because it looks like 1-2 ABC into a 4, but here's the problem with that. For that to be a diagonal, we need to overlap the 1. So it kind of doesn't quite fit. So what would be the alternative? Well, it's not. This is why this is a tricky count. So if we go 1-2 here, well, this could be the 3 here. We do have the potential for this to be the 3. Then we get our overlap, and then we get an ABC into the 5. Sort of went back and forth here. But given this pivot here at the 1-2-7, I'm inclined to lean into that. So I've got 1, 2, 3. I get my very, very slight overlap here. It just barely gets the overlap, and then I finish with an ABC. So I think that's what we've got here. All right, so that would complete a one wave here in green. So yeah, so off the low, 1, 2, 3, and then I end with a diagonal to give me a 5 of the blue degree to finish the 1 of the larger degree in green. Then I get this very straight rip down for, I had to go to the 5 minute to get the ABC into that. But I do get a decent 2, but it's a little shallow. So let me, let's see. Let me clear this up a little bit so it's not so crowded in here so you can see this a little better. So allowing for this, I think let's take this off so we can see it a little better. All right, so just going back to my fib tool, if that's a completed 5-wave structure, well, this is the deepest retracement I get. So I'm inclined to go as a 1, 2. Well, if that's my 2, that's shallow for the 2. We're typically, we want to see a 2 between the 50 and the 786. We don't even make the 50. Now, it happens. A sign of strength in the market. It does happen. We do get a little, it was tough to dig it out, but there's a little ABC into that down for the 2. So we're in the lower percentage here. We're in the 12% of wave 2s that only retrace 38, yet it's 12%, right? So we do get it. It goes right into the Vegas wave yet again, right? And then off we go. And it looks like, again, we get another diagonal. So 1, 2, this qualifies for my 3. I come down for the 4. Well, let's see, I've got let's bring this over here for this one, right? So I get the slight overlap here on the 4, and then it looks like I finish with another ABC to give me a 5. So that implies, so this can't be 1, 2, 3 because I have a diagonal here. So that only leaves a 1. So I've got 1, 2, 1, 2. Now this isn't the prettiest ABC here. Again, even on the 15 minutes, hard to dig it out. So this potentially now, we have this kind of a scenario going in. This could be just a straight rip down for the A. This is some sort of a B going in. Then we're going to go down for a C. Maybe we head back down to this. But we can't take out this low. So let me get that marked so that's clear. We cannot take out this low, or we are no longer making an internal retracement. You see that? So from that 2 low, so if I look at that and draw my fibs from that low to this as a potential wave 1 high, well, I've actually gone here. I've gone a couple of ticks through the 65. Right? Doesn't invalidate, right? We know a 2 wave can go to the 786. So here's my 786 right here. So if this is going to play as an ABC, let me raise that so you can see it a little better. Go to sub-micro. All right, so I don't know that my B is finished. This would be awfully shallow B as well, right? It's adding a little bit of difficulty to it. We're not getting, now we could get a little pop up here so that come here. So we get a more traditional B wave. We could have this kind of going in like this, something like that before we head down for the C. Now here's the, so ideally we'd come here, the median line would hold it, but if we're going to get through it, here's my 786. So if we're going to come down this, that's sort of last stand for that because we cannot have it break here. Here's 887. Technically, I guess that would be our last stand, but I don't even want that on there. I'm going to take that off. Okay, so here's kind of what we're hoping to see if we're going to get a good ABC. Now, it doesn't have to go that deep, right? I'd be just fine if it stayed right there. Right, if we got this little double bottom into this C wave here, that would be ideal right on the median line. But right now, we still have to get up here to get a better looking B wave. For all we know, this is just a very shallow B. We can't be sure till we see that. So let me clear some of this up here. So we got to that algo target. So I've got this here. So we're just sitting here on this upper parallel, knowing that we have that 50 up above here, right? So 50s are always in red. So I've got this 50 from that swing high that with a target down here, right, as I just showed you. So this, we need to see a little bit more bullish reaction here to give us a solid B, and then maybe that chance is here for us to come down for this double bottom. So if I clean it out, so then we'd be looking for a double bottom down here, right here as these two come in. So that's kind of what I'm seeing there. That's not the prettiest count I've ever seen, but it qualifies. You got to be able to do this work to get. Otherwise, it's so choppy. You might say, "Well, I'm just next market. I'm not going to trade it." But trying to get a handle on this, this was far and away what members were looking for. So we have so many members now trading in the FX market that I think that's what they were looking for here. And this is actually a very difficult count to try and get. You had to go through and qualify all of these waves and have clarity on your Elliott wave rule set guidelines and tendencies. And right now, this is the best bullish count that I can come up with here. And what's creating the problems here is we have yet, since this low, the only impulse we've had is the one wave as a contender for the one wave, because we did not get the overlap here on the 4. Right, that was a very technical pivot here. So this was all good. But coming off of that, we get the straight rip down here, and then we go into another diagonal. So that only leaves 1, 2, 1, 2 as long as this holds. Now, if this low is taken out here, then we recount the whole thing, and it's more likely rather than 1, 2, we've just got an A, B, C is completing up here, because a C can complete with a diagonal as an ending diagonal to finish the 5th, and now we're heading down. And we'd expect this move here to move impulsively. So rather, if that were our C, if this were an ABC, then this would be the start of the one wave before we go down and finish whatever we're trying to finish. Maybe we're going down to this algo target. So, you know, I'd be cautious here if you're long. I wouldn't be shorting it here. I wouldn't be shorting right into the median line. So you're in a little bit of a gray zone here. So I like the potential sell up here. And I like the potential buy down here. I'm looking for that double bottom around the median line. So and right now you're kind of sitting right in between, a little closer to the C than the B. So one to watch, right? So, you know, we're sitting here in a holiday week, so volume is light. But listen, algorithms never sleep. They never stop. You don't need to feed them, water them, take them out, give them a day off. They just never stop. So the algos will still be in here rolling. But you may not. You may get some of the more muted reaction because we don't have the volume to back it up. So anytime you're in a holiday week like this, you want to approach with a little caution. So one suggestion is always to reduce the volume. So if you get caught in something that either moves too wildly because of a spark and a lack of liquidity, or something that's just going sideways, I always suggest you reduce the volume when you're in a holiday week like this. Just a suggestion based off of many years of doing this. So there you go. That's the best I can come up with here on the pound dollar. I'd be cautious in here. This is a tricky count, and the market really hasn't revealed itself. What can we say with certainty? That we've been in, and continue to be at this point in a long downtrend. So trying to get into the long side here, you got to approach with caution, because until we go swing low, swing high, swing low, until we get on the other side of that 50 and that 618, it's still a bear trend. Right? Ingredients, possibilities here for a trend change, but not confirmed until you get up here to this yellow line. All right, guys, just a quick reminder, give us a follow over on Twitter. We're very interactive with our followers there, and there's a lot of opportunity to engage with us, make chart requests, video requests. We do it now on a regular basis. If you're interested in this methodology and how we apply it and would really like to master it yourself, give us a visit over on our website. That's tradedevils.com. And we've got some things we can offer to you. All of the members access our private Discord, but we also have a public Discord that you can get access to by following us on Twitter. If you just want to come over and kind of sample, see what we're all about, get some access to a few of the channels. So that's something you can consider as well. All right, guys? So that'll do it for now. I'll be back with, I've got another equity to do for you today. All right, that's it for now.